I would like for them to do it just so people will be quiet about it, because there are a lot of people around baseball who already don't like the Yankees and find this to be another reason to dislike them because they think the Yankees think they're above doing a City Connect. And there might be some truth to that.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit fanduel.com to get started. I'm here alone. It is a solo show. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, and hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go up. It's Fanmail Friday. That's going to be most of the show. I'm answering a lot of questions today. I will also be previewing the A's series this weekend. The pitching matchups are set. But first, let's talk about the finale against the Mariners. Womp, womp. Yankees lost. It was a hangover game. It's fine. The only thing that was, there were two things that were bad. Jake Cousins was taken out due to an injury. He has an issue with his pec. Juan Soto scared the bejesus out of all of us. He's getting x-rays on that knee. He crashed into the wall. Catching that foul ball. Just nightmare scenario for the Yankees. He said he felt good, just sore, and there was a bruise, but they were getting x-rays to make sure he was okay. So, I don't know. Not too upset about the loss. They won 2 out of 3. They're still up 4 in the division right now. Baltimore walked off against the Giants on Thursday afternoon. So the Yankees need to continue their winning ways, as in winning series. So they need to go into Oakland strong. Like I said, in segment 3, we will preview that series. So let's get into our favorite day of the week, Fanmail Friday. And as always, we start with the insiders. And as always, we start with Betty. Betty writes, "Why isn't Stanton texting me today?" Stacey will get that. Laughing emoji. "What is your cat's name? My dog is Yogi, named after you-know-who." I do not have any cats named after Yankees, which is very odd. Why wouldn't I? The first 2 cats that I had as an adult when I was living in Manhattan, when I first got them, they were named Vinny and Tyrone. And no offense to people named Vinny and Tyrone. My Irish grandfather was Vinny. I didn't really like those names, and I changed them. They were going to be Mattingly and Winfield. I was this close to naming them Mattingly and Winfield, but I had it in the back of my head that if I were to have a child, I'd want to name them Mattingly. So I didn't name the cat Mattingly. I was 28 when I got those cats, and I thought I had time to meet someone, get married, have kids. That never happened. So I came close to having 2 cats named after Yankees, but so far, no. The cat who sleeps in my room with me is named Sweet Pea. She's very cute, very tiny, about 6 pounds. But when she steps on my chest and my neck, it feels like she's 80 pounds. But thank you for the question. And the Stanton thing was an insider joke. She thought Stanton was texting her one day, which is pretty funny. And that would be pretty amazing if Giancarlo Stanton was texting any of us. So thanks again for the question. Next up is David F., another insider. "Hey, Stace, given Boone's penchant for overmanaging, what do you expect the Yankees' playoff lineup to look like? I can only assume we should expect some juggling game by game." I would expect some juggling. You know, there are guys who are going to be there all the time, and then you have the guys who will be taken out for matchups. We see it all the time now. It's going to happen in the playoffs. Although, with the way Giancarlo Stanton plays in the playoffs and hits the ball in the playoffs, I really don't want to see him sitting too much. There are other guys who should be sitting ahead of him because he is always a threat to turn on a ball and hit it 450 feet. And he likes to do that in the playoffs. So I don't want to see him sit too much. but that's probably what it's going to be. With the way things are working out, Glaber had a 17-game on base streak that ended on Thursday. So he's been doing really well in the leadoff spot. So I think that the first three spots are set, right? Glaber, Soto, Judge. If Soto is healthy, please be healthy. And I think the rest of the lineup is up to debate and up to shuffling. But I think Boone will stick with a mostly same lineup. I would expect if Wells is playing, he'd be cleanup. If Trevino's playing, you might see, depending on how Rizzo finishes up the season, you could see Rizzo there. You could see Jazz followed by Rizzo. Like there's a whole bunch of different things in that part of the lineup that might be changed. But again, it's all matchups. Thank you for the question, David. Next one from Andrew F., another insider. Do you think the Yankees will ever do a City Connect jersey? Describe your ideal City Connect look for the Yankees. I do not think that they will. I would like for them to do it just so people will be quiet about it, because there are a lot of people around baseball who already don't like the Yankees and find this to be another reason to dislike them because they think the Yankees think they're above doing a City Connect. And there might be some truth to that. But I think, I don't know, I kind of like the idea of a reverse uniform. Navy with white pinstripes. Just like completely reversed. I think that actually could look cool. Interlocking NY white. But I don't know, because City Connects tend to have different fonts. I think since it's the Yankees, they wouldn't go too crazy. And I think even going the reverse might be too much for the Yankees, But I saw that as an alternate uniform idea. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. But I don't know. Let me know below what you guys think if they're going to do it. Again, I think it's the whole, we're the Yankees. We don't have to do that. You guys can all have 15 alternate jerseys. We're going to keep with our traditional pinstripes and our road grays. Thank you for the question. Next up, Jack D., another insider. We'd love to hear more about your dad as a dad and Yankees fan. You've talked about him before, but I don't think you've done an extended discussion. Feel free to skip if it's a difficult topic, but he'd be very proud of your daily dedication to the Bombers. Well, thank you. It's ironic that I'm recording this on September 19th because it would have been my dad's 83rd birthday. So my mother and I ate Malamars in honor of Gus because he loved Malamars, and we did that for his birthday. So my dad grew up a Yankee fan in the Bronx. My mom used to send him to Yankee Stadium with a little brown bag and a dime, a nickel. How much was it to go to the bleachers in the late 40s, early 50s when he was a kid? And I used to tell him, I would say to him, Dad, you're so lucky you saw Mantle, you saw Yogi, you saw the very tail end of DiMaggio. He saw all those teams in the 50s and 60s and just amazing players. And at the time he said to me, he said, yeah, but if you have kids, you can say that you saw Rivera and Jeter and Pettit and guys like that. I said, I guess, but I don't know. There's more lore, I guess, surrounding the 40s and 50s and 60s players. I mean, I think the further we get out from the dynasty, it'll be the same. He had an Uncle Gus, his namesake, who was a New York Giants fan, New York baseball Giants fan, and he would take him to the Polo Grounds because, like I said, he was in the Bronx, and they would just take the elevated train when it was still there, the 9th Avenue L, if I'm not mistaken, to the Polo Grounds. So my dad got to go there, and Uncle Gus tried his hardest to convert my dad into a Giants fan, and my dad had no. He didn't have it. He was like, no, I'm not ever straying from the Yankees, and he never did till his dying day. On September 25th, 2014, my dad was in the hospital and Derek Jeter played his last game. My dad saw Derek Jeter's double in the first inning and he pointed at the TV and I nodded and he nodded back at me and then he fell asleep. He had a fever that night. He wasn't feeling well. When Jeter hit the walk-off, my dad was sleeping, and I had to be very quiet celebrating that walk-off. So I was jumping up and down in silence, if you could believe it. And if you could picture it, it was actually very funny at the time. And then my dad coded the next morning. They brought him back, but he had what they said was catastrophic and irreversible brain damage. And it took a few days, but we finally decided to take him off the machines a week after that. And he passed away October 3rd, 2014. And it's still hard to think about. It's hard to believe it was 10 years ago. And I think he'd be proud of me. You know, when I first started going into podcasting, I was very terrified to do podcasting, by the way. And the fact that I do this 5 days a week and I'm very comfortable with you guys now is kind of funny to me, because a decade ago, the idea of doing a podcast every day was terrifying. But I joked with him and I said, Dad, if I start a Yankees podcast, I think I want to give you a segment and we'll call it Gus's Gripes. And you could just complain about something for like 10 minutes related to the Yankees. And he thought that was funny. So he didn't get to see me do this, but he did get to see me do a few things, which I'm going to talk about in segment 2, I believe is where the question is, because there's a question relating to my writing, which my dad did get to see before he passed away. But thank you for the question, Jack. And yeah, Gus, I think Gus would get a kick out of this. I think he would if he were still here. And maybe he's somewhere. Who knows? I don't know about the universe and all that other stuff, but maybe there's a place where your loved ones are, where they can see you. And if he's seeing me now, I hope he's proud. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, and hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. And if you would like to be part of next week's Fanmail Friday, there will be 2 of us. Reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday. Ask us anything. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, where you get top priority and your questions are answered in segment 1 and in this case segment 2, because there were so many questions. The link is in the description. It isn't only for Fanmail Friday. You get text from us. You can text us questions. We'll text out roster changes. When the playoffs start, I'll send out the lineups and all that stuff so you know everything right away, in case you're one of those people who's not on social media 24/7. There's a 14-day free trial, and it's a good time. Coming up next, more Fanmail Friday. Locked On Yankees is sponsored by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Okay, we have more insider questions. This is from KCC. What is your favorite game that clinched a postseason spot for the Yankees, and any other memorable non-Yankee games you remember for being big? Favorite game that clinched a postseason spot? 95, when they clinched the wild card, because it was the first time I was seeing them in the playoffs since 1981. I love that. That was in Toronto, right? I think. Yeah. And that was like my first big memory of them clinching a postseason spot, you know? So that was pretty exciting. As for memorable non-Yankee games you remember, I don't really, can't really think of anything, but thank you for the question. Next, insider Adam Cole. Just over a month ago, I asked how many home runs will Aaron Judge end up hitting this year? He's currently on 53. Brian's prediction was 58. What explains the home run mini droughts that Aaron Judge has? Is it the schedule, opposing pitchers, or is he just as mortal as we all are? He's as mortal as we all are. It's as simple as that. We might think he's Superman sometimes, but he is just a regular dude who's a lot bigger than the rest of us, but he's just a regular dude who hits a lot of home runs. And from time to time, he gets tired, like we all do. Thank you for the question, Adam. Next from Shalid. Hopefully last night, meaning Wednesday night, cemented that Holmes can't close. Who do you see as the main closer in the postseason other than Weaver? I would assume that it would be Ian Hamilton along with Weaver. It's going to be the same sort of thing as the lineup, depending on the matchups and depending on how much guys are pitching in previous nights. But I really don't want to see Clay Holmes in a high leverage situation. I just don't. You know we're going to, but I really don't. And I don't think anyone else does, but I don't know. The Yankees are just, or Boone or the analytics guys, whoever they are, they just insist on putting him in these situations that aren't good for him. It's like he's having a bad year now. Like he was great the first month and a half, and then he just stop pushing it already. Thank you for the question. And that is it for the insiders. Now we're moving on to YouTube. FJE6902, in your career as a writer, have you ever written a book, collaborated on a book, or have plans to do so in the future? Well, I've not written a book. I've written stories that are long enough to be books, but no one's ever reading those. And I contributed to the 2017 Hardball Times Annual. I wrote about the AL East. I also handed in my chapter, I handed it in on time, but I wrote it the day before it was due because at that point I had was it undiagnosed ADHD at that point? Or had I just been diagnosed? But I'm a procrastinator and I wait till the last minute to do everything. And I waited till the day before to bang out that chapter. And from what I remember reading the annual, it was most of it was mostly me. Like some things were edited, but it was mostly me. So yeah. And I do not have plans to write a book in the future. Oh, I also contributed to the 2018 Baseball Prospectus Annual as well. I did most of the Yankees comments, which was an interesting experience. So yeah, my writing has appeared in a few things. It's also appeared in a few magazines. I contributed to a Derek Jeter commemorative magazine 10 years ago that my dad was able to see before he passed away. He also saw some of my writing on ESPN. He thought it was very cool that our Greek last name was on ESPN's website. So I'm glad he got to see that before he passed away. But yeah, no, I don't have any plans to write a book in the future. But plans can change, and who knows, maybe I'll do something later on. But thank you for that question. Ellery Tom, given his resurgence, does Gleyber get a qualifying offer in November? Should he? I don't know if the resurgence is long enough because Gleyber was pretty bad most of the year. You know, he's really picked it up in the last 2 months, but he was bad for so long that if I feel it feels like if he had maybe like a bad first month and a half and then he picked it up, things would be better for him in the off season, but he really messed up his walk year. He really messed it up for himself. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. That's going to be interesting to look out for. But thank you for that question. Matt Johnson, 6606. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you the Yankees can win the World Series? 6.5. 6.5. Does that count? Yeah. And our final question of this segment from Matt Vincelli. I'm so sorry. I'm a quarter Italian. I should know how to say an Italian last name. And if I said it wrong, I apologize. He asks, am I crazy to think the Yankees would be better off as the 2 seed? That way, they would face Houston, assuming they win the wild card round in the ALDS. I'd rather take them in a 5-game series with a fresh rotation. I don't I don't want to face Houston in any situation. I don't want them to face Houston. I really don't. I can't deal with it anymore. It's enough. It's enough. I'm starting to feel like a Twins fan when it comes to the Yankees and the Astros, and I don't like feeling that way. And I just don't want it. No. So yes, you are crazy, but not really. Thank you for the question. All right, coming up next, one more Fan Mail Friday question and a preview of the A's series. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Now, since we're a baseball podcast, let's quickly talk about some Yankees numbers. To win the pennant, they're at plus 190. To win the World Series, they're at plus 450. And you can even bet on World Series matchups. You think the Yankees will play the Dodgers? You can bet on that. The Phillies, maybe a rematch with the Padres? You can bet on that too. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Okay, one more YouTube question from Robbie Garnes. Hey guys, just a novella from me this week, LOL. With so many of our pitchers hitting their stride down the stretch, do you think that the Yankees should go with a 4-man rotation in the playoffs? It seems like even in a 5-game series, it would be preferable to have Cole going on full rest for a possible Game 5, even if it means putting Schmitty out there for Game 4. What do my favorite skippers think of that idea? Thanks and keep up the good work. The Yankees would be in big trouble if I were the skipper. But thank you for the question, Robbie. The thing with the Yankees, they have 6 starters, right? And they have right now the luxury of maybe using 1 or 2 of them in the bullpen if need be, right? You can have them piggyback someone when they start in a game in the playoffs. There are a lot of different scenarios here, especially with Jake Cousins. We don't know the extent of the injury. It didn't seem great. His velocity was down on Thursday because of it, and he was only in for 6 pitches, and they had to take him out. So for once, having too many starters might actually be good for the Yankees because Nestor can pitch out of the bullpen as much as he doesn't like it, but he's done it before and he can do it again. Clark Schmidt can also pitch out of the bullpen if he needs to. So there are a lot of different scenarios that I'm picturing in my mind. And I think this might actually be a positive for the Yankees right now. Surprisingly, heading into the playoffs. But thank you all for all of your questions, and thank you for making this solo Fan Mail Friday a busy one. Thank you for all the questions. All right, so previewing the pitching matchups in the A's series in Oakland. Friday, Garrett Cole, 6-5 with a 3.97 ERA against JT Ginn or Gin. I don't know because I've never heard of him. He's only 0-1 with a 4.94 ERA. Friday night's game is a 9:40 start. On Saturday, which is a 9:07 start, Carlos Rodon, 15-9 with a 4.12 ERA, faces former Yankee farmhand J.P. Sears, who's 11-11 with a 4.24 ERA. And on Sunday, which is a 4:07 start, Luis Gil, who's 14-6 with a 3.14 ERA, faces Joey Estes, who's 7-8 with a 4.78 ERA. So Gil's looking for his 15th win. Rodon's looking for his 16th win. Cole's looking for win number 7, lucky number 7. And how often is it that the Yankees face 3 starters in a series and all of their names begin with J? I wonder. And I'm sure there are people out there who could look that up and find out how often it happens, but it just seems like something that might not happen too often. So is this an important series? Yes. The Orioles are playing the Tigers again. The Tigers had an easy time with them. The Tigers are now tied with the Twins for that final wild card spot, thanks to a Twins loss on Thursday. So things are getting very interesting in the AL wild card. So at one point, Baltimore may have thought that they were playing against a Tigers team that had nothing to play for. But now the Tigers have everything to play for. So this might actually help the Yankees this weekend. The Yankees still have to take care of business in Oakland. Just because they're facing a bunch of pitchers that have ERAs that start with 4 doesn't mean that they're not going to have trouble, because we know that they do sometimes. And I've said it many, many times. They somehow, no matter how well they're doing, seem to have issues in Oakland, no matter what the team looks like, no matter how the team is doing. It's just something about that ballpark that the Yankees have issues with. I know that there was a sewage situation one time when they played there too, like a decade ago, maybe more than that. So yeah, the Yankees also need to take care of business. I will not be happy with anything less than 2 out of 3, honestly. Just keep winning series for the rest of the year. Stay ahead of Baltimore by at least 4 games. So when you're going into that series with them next week, you don't have to sweep. That's it. Just keep winning these other series. So when you head into that series with Baltimore, you have enough of a cushion where if something gets messed up, it'll be okay. And also, heading into the last series of the year, as I just mentioned, the Twins and the Tigers are neck and neck. The Orioles are playing the Twins in that last series. So the Twins probably will still have, if they don't, completely tank, they'll also have something to play for next weekend, a week from now. So very interesting last week of the season. It's going to be a very, very interesting last week of the season. We'll see how it goes. One more time, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. Coming up next week, recapping the series against the A's, previewing the huge series against the Orioles, and the last series of the regular season against the Pirates. We're here. We're in the home stretch. So that'll do it for this Fanmail Friday edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and we will see you on Monday.